Question number 65, Lucky Dairy. Lucky Dairy, a public limited company, produces milk for supplying to various customers. It is responsible for producing 25% of the country's milk consumption. The company owns cows and heifers, which is the young female cows. मतलब बछड़े. The herd, as at 31st of May 2012, is comprised of 70,000 3-year-old cows, all purchased before 1st of June 11, 25,000 2-year-old heifers purchased for 46 each on 1st of December 11. There were no animals born or sold during the year. The per unit value less estimated cost to sell were as follows. 2-year-old animal at 31st of May 11, 2-year-old animal at 31st of May 12, 33-year-old animal at 31st of May 12. The directors would like advice on how the herd should be accounted for in its primary financial statements for the year ended 31st of May 2012. Advice about disclosure notes is not required. So, the above transaction we can see is based upon a living uh, being that such as animals and plants. Thus, the above transaction should be accounted for using IAS 41 agriculture. Uh, it is a biological. The herd or the cows is basically a biological asset, and according to IAS 41, biological assets are valued at fair value less cost to sell. Uh, Thus, for the year end of 31st of May 12, the cows and the heifers should be valued at as per the same. The should be valued at fair value less cost to sell. Thus, in the current scenario, we can see that there are 3-year-old cows purchased before 1st of June 11, which consisted of 3-year-old cows ना तो 70,000 so 70,000 into 60 होगा directly, and 25,000 2-year-old heifers purchased for 46 each on 1st of December 11. तो ये देखो वैल्यूएशन इसका कुछ इस तरीके से होगा. पहले तो सेलिंग प्राइस देख लेते 70,000 इंटू 60, क्योंकि देखो 3 साल के हैं वो, तो जो भी वैल्यूएशन आएगी कितनी आएगी 4 2 1 2 3 4 5 ऐसे आएगा. उसके बाद 2-year-old cows purchased each on 1st of December 11. तो अभी देखो ये जो 2-year-old एनिमल था ये 1st of May 12 को 55 का था. 1st of May 12 को, तो ठीक है ना. मैं इसको 25,000 इंटू 55 ले लेता हूँ विच वुड मेक इट 13,75,000. तो मेरा जो टोटल आता है वो मेरा आता है 53,75,000. अब मुझे देखना है मेरा परचेज वैल्यू. तो परचेज मैं कैसे देखता हूँ 70,000 इंटू ऑल परचेज बिफोर 1st of June 11. 3-year-old cows. 3-year-old काउस 31st of May 12 को उनकी वैल्यू 60. मतलब देखो ये 31st of May 12 को 3 साल के हुए. मतलब ये लोग 31st of May 11 को 2 साल के थे. तो 31st of 11 को 2 साल के एनिमल्स को उन्होंने हमको वैल्यू दिया हुआ है विच वॉज 50. तो ये अपने को मिलेगा 3 5 1 2 3 4 5. 50,000, और नीचे 25,000 इंटू 46, क्योंकि देखो इन्होंने अपने को ऊपर वैल्यू दिया हुआ है, परचेज फॉर 46 ईच। तो 25,000 इंटू 46, तो 11,50,000। तो अपने को आएगा 46,50,000। तो मेरे को जो गेन आएगा वो आएगा 3 लाख, ना, 46,50,000 -5। एक्चुअली एक मिनट, मैंने एक छोटी सी मिस्टेक, मैं ना वही बार बार चेक कर रहा था कि मैं सही से किया है कि नहीं। मैंने देखो 4,20,000 प्लस 13,75,000, मैंने यहाँ पे 53,75,000 लिखा हुआ है, वो एक्चुअली 55,70,000 है। माइनस 42 लाख, क्योंकि मैं एक एक करके कर रहा था ना, इसलिए मेरे को यहाँ पे दिखा। कैल्सियम मैंने -42 लाख किया, फिर मैंने -13,75,000 किया, मेरे को आया गेन ऑफ 9,25,000। तो इतने का मुझे गेन हुआ है फ्रॉम दैट सेल, अगर मैं बेचने जाऊंगा तो, ऐसा। तो अपन चेक कर लेते हैं। ये देखो, बायोलॉजिकल एसेट, अकॉर्डिंग टू IS 41 एग्रीकल्चर, a biological asset such as dairy cow is initially measured at fair value less cost to sell. It should be measured at each reporting date to its fair value less the estimated cost to sell. Gains or losses on remeasurement are recorded in the statement of profit or loss. As at 31st of May 11, the herd would have been carried in the statement of financial position at 3.5 million, मतलब अपने को जो मिला था 35 lakhs, वही है। सो द हीफर्स परचेज्ड ऑन द करंट ईयर वैल्यू टू 11,50,000, तो ये भी अपन ने बराबर से कैलकुलेट किया था, 11,50,000। फिर देखो इन्होंने क्या किया। इन्होंने देखो इसको ऐसे लाया कि इन्होंने कैरिंग अमाउंट ऑफ एट 31st of May 12 को 5.58 मिलियन, मतलब 55,80,000 बताया, अपने इसको 55,75,000 बताया। एंड फेयर वैल्यू गेन इनको आया 9,30,000, अपने को आया 9,25,000। सो बेसिकली उन्होंने वो राउंड ऑफ किया हुआ, इसलिए उनको ऐसा आ रहा है, बट अपना कैलकुलेशन भी बिल्कुल सही है, ठीक है ना। तो अभी आगे बढ़ते हैं, इसको मैं डिलीट कर देता हूँ, इसी तरह ये वाला तो एडवाइस लकी कंपनी, हाँ ठीक है। ऑन 1st of December 11, Lucky Dairy purchased interest-bearing bonds in Jags, another listed company, for $10 million. Classified these assets and measured at amortized cost. Just prior to the date of bond purchase, Jags had realized interim financial report that demonstrated encouraging year-on-year growth and a strong financial position. As such, external agencies had graded the bonds as having low credit risk. In May 12, Jazz realized its annual financial statements, and these showed weak trading performances in the final 6 months of the reporting period, as well as large decline in the cash generated from its operations compared to the prior year. These financial statements show that at the prior year end, prior sorry, at the period end, Jags was relatively close to breaching its loan covenants. Okay, the listed bond price of Jags has fallen by 20% since December 11, despite an overall increase in bond prices for other listed entities in the same sector. It has been reported that external agencies are reviewing and reassessing the credit rating of Jags. Despite encountering financial difficulties, Jags has met all of its obligations to the lenders and bondholders. Debtors would like advice on how the above information will impact the carrying amount of its financial assets. तो सबसे पहली बात तो अम, हम्म कैसे इसको अकाउंट करेंगे, अकॉर्डिंग टू IFRS 9, पहले अपन चालू कर देते हैं। अकॉर्डिंग टू IFRS 9 फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, it is this investment that Jags, sorry, that Lucky Dairy has made in Jags company by purchasing interest bearing bonds is an investment in debt instrument. And according to IFRS 9 financial instruments, investment in debt instruments can be measured at either amortized cost, OCI, or fair value through other comprehensive income, or fair value through profit and loss. It is measured at fair value through amortized cost when the twin objectives are fulfilled, which is the contractual cash flow characteristics test and the business model test. In the contractual cash flow characteristics test, the main aim is to collect cash flows as per the contract, is to collect the cash flows as per the contract over the period of time. Um, and in the business model, collect contractual cash flows which are majorly the principal amount and the interest outstanding on the principal amount. And business model test के अंदर क्या आता है? In business model test, what happens is, in business model test, the main aim is to hold the assets till the maturity. ठीक है ना? और सेम चीज अपन ओसीआई में कॉपी पेस्ट करके लिखेंगे, क्योंकि कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल कैश फ्लो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स टेस्ट तो सेम ही है। और जो खाली जो बिजनेस मॉडल टेस्ट है ना, उसमें एक और एडअप हो जाता है कि इज टू होल्ड इन मेच्योरिटी और टू सेल इट ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड। एंड पीएनएल में बस वही आता है कि द कैश फ्लोज विच आर नॉट हेल्ड एट ओसीआई और amortized costs are held in P&L. OCI में it is reclassified to profit and loss at the disposal of the financial statement, financial instruments. अभी इस केस में इतना डिटेल से पूछा तो नहीं है, लेकिन सी दिस इज जस्ट टू लाइंस जो हमने लिखे हैं, और उसी टू लाइंस को अपने को ओसीआई में कॉपी पेस्ट करना है, तो आंसर भी मतलब बड़ा बन जाता है। नाउ IFRS 9 financial instruments allows loss allowance to be recognized for on financial instruments which are measured through fair value through OCI and amortized cost। अगर इन दोनों में हम लोग मेजर कर सकते हैं, तब जाके हम हमको लॉस अलाउंस क्रिएट करने का मौका देता है। नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू द एक्सटर्नल एजेंसी, द ग्रेडेड बॉन्ड्स वर हैविंग लो क्रेडिट रिस्क एंड thus it wasn't even significant. Thus, when there is no significant credit risk, the loss allowance can be recognized on the period, for the period of 12 months expected credit losses. However, when we went further and looked upon the final 6 months of the reporting period, we saw that there was a large decline in the cash generated from operations compared to the prior year. ठीक है ना? The financial statements also showed that the period end Jax was relatively close to breaching its loan covenants. तो ये अपन कॉपी पेस्ट करेंगे लिटरली, थोड़े से वर्डिंग्स चेंज करेंगे ताकि उनको पता ना चले कि हमने कॉपी पेस्ट किया हुआ है। और कॉपी पेस्ट करने के बाद वी विल जस्ट से कि thus we can say that the credit risk has increased to a significant level. And when the credit risk increases to a significant level, IFRS 9 states that it should be the loss allowance should be measured at as per the lifetime expected credit losses. So ये अपन लिख देंगे, this change from the 12 month expected credit losses to lifetime credit losses uh, would be recorded in the profit and loss। अपन इतना बता देंगे। अभी आगे, listed bond price of JAX has been fallen 20% despite the overall increase in the bond being now can we impair it is the question। क्या impairment के बारे में बोल सकते हैं? Listed bond price of JAX has fallen by then since despite an overall increase in the bond prices for other listed companies in the same sector in other it being reported in the external agencies। सी जो अपन ने ऊपर आंसर बोला था ना, वो ओसीआई amortized कॉस्ट, वो मैंने बस एक्स्ट्रा ऐड ऑन किया था, वो एक्चुअली मेन करेंस में नहीं बैठता। अगर जो मेन करेंस में बैठता है, ये अपना एक्सपेक्टेड क्रेडिट लॉसेस का ही था, और वो अपन ने डाला, तो आंसर बहुत ही छोटा बन रहा है। सो आई थिंक सो IAS 36 इम्पेयरमेंट ऑफ एसेट्स के बारे में मैं बात करनी होगी, तो उसके बारे में मैं बाद में बता देंगे कि रिकवरेबल अमाउंट, कैरिंग अमाउंट कैसे बैठता है वो सब। IAS 1 तक शायद जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि इन्होंने बोला है कि बस इम्पैक्ट ऑन द कैरिंग अमाउंट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स में क्या इम्पैक्ट आएगा, बस उतना ही पूछा है। सो उसके बारे में शायद जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, ये चेक कर लेते हैं। ये देखो, According to IFRS 9, financial instruments loss allowance be recognized on the financial assets that are debt instruments and which are measured at amortized cost or fair value through OCI. If the credit risk is of a financial asset is not increased significantly since inception, the loss allowance should be equal to 12-month expected credit losses. If the credit risk of financial asset has increased significantly since the inception, the loss allowance should be equal to lifetime expected credit losses. An entity must use reasonable forward-looking information when assessing the level of credit risk. The bonds had a low credit risk at inception. It would seem that the credit risk has increased significantly since inception. This is because of the following. The financial performance and cash generation of JAGS have been poor, and this will have impaired its ability to service its financial obligations. तो बोला कि लो क्रेडिट रिस्क एट इंसेप्शन बट क्रेडिट रिस्क इंक्रीज क्यों हुआ होगा उसके ये फॉलोइंग रीजंस है कि एक तो फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस एंड कैश जनरेशन हैव बीन पुअर एंड दिस विल हैव impaired its ability to service its financing obligations. The entity was close to breaching its loan covenants at the year end. A breach of covenants would potentially make loans repayable, thus having a detrimental impact on the cash flow. Decreased bond price appears to be entity specific and therefore related to the market concerns about JAGs and credit risk. External agencies are reviewing the credit rating of JAGs, suggesting that credit risk has increased since the publication of its latest financial results. Due to increase in credit risk, the loss allowance should be equal to lifetime expected credit losses. Increase or decrease in allowance will be charged to profit or loss. ये सब अपन ने बोला था. ये बीच के 4 पॉइंट्स जो थे ये इन्होंने बस बोला हुआ है कि क्रेडिट रिस्क क्यों बढ़ा होगा. सो क्यों बढ़ा होगा इसके कारण इन्होंने यहाँ पे ये 4 रीजंस दिए हुए हैं. इम्पेयरमेंट को इन्होंने यहाँ पे कंसिडर नहीं किया हुआ है. मे बी बिकॉज वन IAS और वन IFRS कैन नॉट ओवरलैप द अदर बिकॉज ऑफ दैट रीजन दे हैव नॉट इंक्लूडेड दिस हियर. अब लास्ट में Lucky Dairy's directors have been reviewing the International Integrated Reporting Council's framework for integrated reporting. The directors believe that international financial reporting standards are readily extensive and provide stakeholders with a comprehensive understanding of an entity's financial position and performance for the year. In particular, statements of cash flow enable stakeholders to assess the liquidity, insolvency, and financial adaptability of a business. They are concerned that an additional disclosures would be excessive and obscure the most useful information within a set of financial statements. They are therefore unsure as to the rationale for an implementation of separate or combined integrated report. Discuss the extent to which statement of cash flows provides stakeholders with useful information about the entity and whether the information would be improved by the entities introducing an integrated report. दोस्तों सबसे पहले बात तो अपन कैश फ्लो के ऊपर बात कर लेते हैं. अकॉर्डिंग टू IAS 7 स्टेटमेंट ऑफ कैश फ्लोज, the statement of cash flows are prepared on indirect method basis. Can either be sorry can either be prepared on direct method basis or indirect method basis. However, most of the companies use the indirect method basis. The use of indirect method basis um, can be very confusing to the investors, and they might not understand the implications that are taking place. The indirect method comprises of the cash flows from operating activities such as depreciate. This includes certain non-cash items which are being added back, such as depreciation, impairment, finance cost, etc. Um, this also includes the the changes in working capital that take place, such as increase or decrease in receivables and payables and inventories. Next, there is cash flow from investing activities, which helps the investors in understanding how much capital or how much cash the entity has invested in various activities such as subsidiaries, associates, or what is the returns that have been generated from them, and what is the returns that have been generated from them. Next is investing from financing activities. Sorry, cash flow from financing activities. In cash flow from financing activities, the investors can help in understanding how much loan or debt the company has taken, raised, and how much payments have to be made in the near future. Thus, this helps the potential investors in understanding what is the risk profile of the company and whether the company has the equivalent cash amount to pay off the financing, to pay off the debt finances, etc. Thus, the potential investors can make their decision clearly that whether or not to invest in the company or invest their money elsewhere. अभी आते हैं इंटीग्रेटेड फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग के ऊपर भाई 11 मार्क के लिए. Okay, according to the International Integrated Reporting Council for Integrated Reporting, the information that the entity uh, justifies or information that the entity discloses in its financial statements should be concise and should be entity specific. The information which is general in nature, the investors can get it even outside in the industry. Thus it is much better if the company provides information which is concise and entity specific. Actually नहीं, मैंने ये ऊपर की लाइन को कर दिया रिपीट. दैट इज रिलेटेड टू द एंटिटी, ऐसा बोल लूंगा मैं मे बी. देन when providing disclosures or providing information in the integrated report, the data should be careful whether they are not providing excessive report, because excessive report or excessive disclosures can hamper the stakeholders perception about looking at a company. This might create clutter in the disclosures notes and might obscure the most useful information. Um, but thus, the investors would focus on some other information more rather than focusing on the information that does require their guidance or does require their attention. Thus, investors might not be able to make their investment decision. The excessive disclosure note might make the disclosure notes very monotonous in nature, and might not create or build a good reputation in front of the investors. फिर वो मटेरियलिटी के ऊपर बोलेंगे कि thus while providing disclosures, the two basic principles of conceptual framework should be taken into consideration, which has relevance and faithful representation. तो वो अपन बता देंगे. कंपेरेबल होना चाहिए वो बता देंगे विद द इंडस्ट्री एवरेजेस. एंड और क्या बता सकते हैं. जजमेंट के ऊपर बेस्ड है तो मैनेजमेंट को अपना जजमेंट एस्टिमेट एकदम ही एक्यूरेट करना चाहिए, वो बता देंगे. ये पॉइंट्स बता देंगे. आई थिंक इतना काफी हो जाएगा 11 मार्क के लिए. चेक कर लेते हैं. Statement of cash flow provides valuable information to stakeholders. Cash flow from objective and verifiable and so are more easily understood. Actually, cash flow के बारे में एक बहुत ही अच्छा एडवांटेज ये है कि cash flow provides us information about the good quality profits. वो अपन ने पॉइंट नहीं कवर किया. Cash flows are objective and verifiable and so are more easily understood than profits. In contrast, profits can be manipulated through use of judgment or choice of particular accounting policy. ये अपन ये नहीं बोला था. Cash generated from operation is useful indication of the good quality profits generated by a business. Good quality profits will generate cash and increase the financial adaptability of the entity. Cash flow information has some predictive value. It may assist stakeholders in making judgments on the amount, timing, and day and degree of uncertainty on the future cash flows. Actually, we focused on explaining them the cash flows rather than we should have just उसकी तारीफ करनी चाहिए थी. हमने एक्चुअली एक्सप्लेन कर दिया, वो गलत था. However, the adjustment of non-cash flow items within operating activities is complex and may not be easily understood. Okay, we said this easily understood ka part. Moreover, classification of cash flows may be manipulated between operating, investing, and financing activities. As such, it is only thorough and analysis. Sorry, it is only through an analysis of statement of financial position, statement of comprehensive income and notes together with cash flow and comprehensive understanding of the entity's position and performance can develop. फिर आता है integrated reporting. It is true that international financial reporting, international it is true that international financial reporting standards are and their required disclosures very comprehensive. This has led to criticisms that the most relevant information can become obscured by immaterial disclosures. ये अपन ने बोला materiality को यहाँ पे मतलब बात करनी है. An integrated report would increase the disclosures as well as imposing additional time and cost constraints on the reporting entity. However, the integrated reporting will provide stakeholders with valuable information which would not be immediately accessible from an entity's financial statements. Financial statements are based on historic information and may lack predictive value. They are essential in corporate reporting, particularly for compliance purposes, but do not provide meaningful information regarding business value. Primary purpose of integrated report is to explain to the providers of how capital प्रोवाइडर्स ऑफ क्या मतलब प्रोवाइडर्स ऑफ कैपिटल मतलब कि जो बंदा पैसा लेंड करने वाला है कंपनी को या जो इन्वेस्टर पैसा लगाने वाला है कंपनी पे वो. हाउ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जनरेट्स वैल्यू ओवर टाइम मतलब प्रिडिक्टिव वैल्यू इन द सेंस कि इनको फ्यूचर के रिस्क एंड अपॉर्चुनिटीज के बारे में अपने को बताना चाहिए. This is summarized through examination of key activities and outputs of the organization, whether the financial, manufactured, intellectual, human, social, or natural. An integrated report seeks to examine the external environment which the entity operates within and provide an insight to the entity's resources and relationships to generate value. मतलब जो मैंने बोला कि entity specific तो इसी को इन्होंने यहाँ पे तीन और नए डिटेल इंफॉर्मेशन दिया हुआ है कि एंटिटीज रिसोर्सेज रिलेशनशिप्स एंड जनरेट वैल्यू इनसाइड मतलब ये सारी चीजें इन्होंने ये बोला कि प्रोवाइड इनसाइड टू द एंटिटीज एंड देन इन्होंने ये तीन चीजें बोली हुई है ऐसा. इट इज प्रिंसिपल्स बेस्ड and should be driven by materiality, including how and to what extent the entity understands and responds to the needs of its stakeholders. This would include an analysis of how the entity has performed within the business environment, together with a description of prospects and challenges for the future. This is, it is this strategy direction which is lacking from the traditional set of financial statements and will be invaluable to stakeholders to make a more informed assessment of the organization and its prospects. तो इन सारे बेनिफिट्स की वजह से स्टेक होल्डर्स अपना डिसीजन अच्छी तरीके से ले सकते हैं. बस इन्होंने ये बोला हुआ है. इंटीग्रेटेड रिपोर्टिंग के अपने काफी सारे अच्छे पॉइंट्स बोले थे पहले भी, लेकिन ये कैश फ्लो के बारे में अपने को कैश फ्लो के बेनिफिट्स बताने हैं. बस इतना वी विल कीप इन माइंड. ठीक है ना.